Hey, Midtown Crieve Hall, excited to send along this video to you from me and from the elders of our congregation about some stuff that we've been working on and praying about pertaining to the needs of our community. Since the last Sunday at the ball field, and as we've headed back to Granbury over the past few weeks, in many ways we are relaunching our congregation, which has a lot of challenges to it. And many other churches are feeling and experiencing those same challenges. All of the congregations of Midtown are feeling and experiencing those challenges. Some of you may not know that Midtown Crieve Hall is just one congregation of a larger church. We're one of 5, soon to be 6. And every one of the Midtown congregations is wrestling with a lot about what does it mean to relaunch and rebuild coming out of this season of COVID. And so our overall session, the session of Midtown and then Midtown Crieve Hall session, really has been praying about and asking the question, what kind of need of investment do we have in this rebuilding season? How do we need to be investing in our community at Midtown Crieve Hall? And I can just tell you from my own heart as well as the heart of our session, we have a deep desire to provide and position Midtown Crieve Hall for this upcoming year to not only grow, but to thrive as a community. And we are profoundly jealous for our church to have everything that it needs to do so. And so, again, through a lot of prayer and discussion and discernment, one of the ways that we plan to make a significant investment in our community this year is to add to our pastoral team at Midtown Crieve Hall. And we're about to begin the process of searching for an assistant pastor who is going to come and work alongside of me at Midtown Crieve Hall, and whose job as an assistant pastor there will be to exclusively focus on the needs of that congregation as we rebuild. And I say exclusively focus. You might say, well, what does that mean? Don't you, Dave, exclusively focus? And the answer is no, I don't. And that may come as a shock to you, but I've been at Midtown. This is my 20th year at Midtown. I was at Midtown when Midtown was just 15 people and Randy and I, and starting off in a city where a lot of church planting wasn't happening. And as Midtown grew and decided as a session, hey, we want to be about planting churches in communities. Crieve Hall is the fruit of one of those church plants. As Midtown grew, the responsibilities for me within the movement of Midtown, not just to the congregation of Crieve Hall, have also grown, particularly in the last 5 to 7 years. As we've added more congregations, my personal investment in our staff, in our team of leaders, in our session, in our pastoral team has grown and grown as the movement of Midtown has grown. And consequently, it probably just makes sense, my ability to give what our session at Crieve Hall believes, and I believe Crieve Hall needs, to Crieve Hall as well as to the movement, is beginning to stretch me to the point where we're saying, no, Crieve Hall needs more. And so this desire to bring along an assistant pastor is the acknowledgement that as my responsibilities within the movement have grown, things that I feel called to, things that are good for Midtown, and things that are good for Midtown Crieve Hall, so the needs of Midtown Crieve Hall specifically. And it's our hope that bringing along someone as an assistant pastor who can devote themselves fully to the work of Midtown Crieve Hall will be a profound benefit to that community and to us. And so we formed this prayer and advisory team. The elders are probably going to share a little bit more about that here in a second. It's made up of men and women from our congregation. They've been meeting since June to really pray, think through, discuss, bring counsel to this process of seeking out who would come and be an assistant pastor at Midtown Crieve Hall, as well as pray and think about the other needs that our congregation is facing in this season. So we're excited about that group of men and women and the strength that brings to our leadership and to this process. So I'd encourage you, would you pray with us as a congregation? This is a big deal. It's a big deal that even coming out of a pandemic, that we're in a position to be able to pursue hiring somebody and bringing someone in as an assistant pastor at Midtown Crieve Hall. That's just not the fruit of Midtown Crieve Hall. that's the fruit of Midtown. That the session of Midtown has said, this is so important, this congregation is so important and so valuable. And what we see God doing, the work that we see God doing in the life of Midtown Crieve Hall is so good. We want to reinvest substantially by bringing someone else along to work alongside me and our team there. And so it's a huge blessing. Would you get excited about that? Would you pray about that? Because we ultimately believe that if this is what the Lord is up to and he is bringing someone here as an assistant pastor, we desperately need that. And that person desperately needs that's God's will for us and for them. And so we want to be those who are really leaning into, Lord, who is this that you have for us in this role? So I'm going to hand it off to Hal and to Mitch and to Paul. They're going to share a little bit from their perspective about this assistant pastor search. But love you very much and very excited for this upcoming year and season for Midtown Crieve Hall. I believe the Lord is working in profound ways in our community, and I'm excited that we're pushing our chips fully in on what he's up to.
Hey, everybody. It is really true what Dave shared. We are a church and we are a congregation that is in transition. And as we've shared over the month of July in our services, we are effectively relaunching our congregation at Crieve Hall. Think about things like new Kidtown director search, new location search, name change that's upcoming, and also the assistant pastor search that Dave talked about just a moment ago. It is really true that we have lots going on, but we're excited and committed to a full exploration of what the Lord is calling us to in our part of the city. And we are committed to playing our part in advancing the gospel down in the South Nashville area. Drew is on vacation right now, but I have Mitch and Paul here with me today, and wanted you guys to have an opportunity to hear from them and to hear the elders' heart on all that's going on.
It's no surprise, it's no mystery that our church is growing, Midtown is growing, and Crieve Hall is a huge part of that growth. And in that growth, there's stretching, and Dave is being stretched pretty thin with his responsibilities with the mission-wide movement and also with Crieve Hall. And I think our heart for him is that he would have someone to come along beside him to help him. So having an assistant pastor to help Dave, I believe, would make him a healthier pastor to us and the mission, for that matter.
Yeah, I would add to that I think a lot's going to happen in this next season of growth, and a lot of hopefully new faces at our church, and we want no one to come through the front doors without being pastored to. Yeah. And having more hands on deck will help that out.
Yeah. I've had a privilege of being part of Crieve Hall congregation for over 10 years. I was actually part of the small group, core group. And our vision from the start has always been just South Nashville in general. And it's kind of funny that we ended up in Crieve Hall Elementary, or Granbury Elementary. And I think our vision is bigger than the walls of Granbury. And I'm excited to see where we land and where Jesus is taking us.
Yeah, we put together a prayer and advisory team to help in this assistant pastor search that has already been maybe a couple of weeks now praying and in the conversation about how this is going to happen. And there'll be an announcement of who that is, so that if you have questions, there are also people that you can talk to. Really just trying to advance the gospel through the work of Midtown to reach South Nashville.
I would echo what you just said regarding our prayer team. They're a committed group of folks who not only love Jesus, but they love Dave, and they love Midtown. And we're praying daily. We're praying once a month together corporately. And I'm excited to see what happens out of this prayer time.
I think in closing, I would just want to say we are incredibly encouraged by the strength and commitment that we see from you, and have been very blessed, particularly on our move back into Granbury, at your willingness to step in and do what is needed to rebuild there at Granbury. So thank you very much for that. Do want to say we're thankful for our prayer and advisory team. Have been a great new addition to what we're doing at the church. We love you, and we are excited to see what the Lord has for us next. Thanks.